slept with my best friend's boyfriend just to prove he wasn't the saint she claimed. I know how this sounds. Believe me, I've replayed it in my head 1,000 times, and there's no version of it that makes me look good. But that's kind of the point. I wasn't trying to be good. I was trying to win. For context, I, 24F, have been best friends with Kayla, 24F, since high school. We met sophomore year and instantly clicked. She was always the prettier one, the louder one, the one guys noticed first. But I was smart, funny, reliable. The cool friend who made everyone feel comfortable. And that used to be enough. Things changed after college. We both ended up back in our hometown and still hung out, but something about our dynamic got lopsided. Kayla started dating Zach, 26M, and suddenly she was insufferable. Every conversation turned into her talking about how amazing he was. Zach made dinner last night, and it was better than any restaurant. Zach fixed my car even though he had to miss the gym. Zach bought me flowers just because. At first, I smiled through it. I mean, who doesn't want their friend to be happy? But it didn't stop there. She started comparing him to Eli, 25M, my boyfriend of a year. Not even subtly. You know, Eli's nice, but I just don't see the spark between you two like I have with Zach. Or, I just feel so safe with Zach, like he'd never even look at another girl. She once even said, I think some people just settle without realizing it. Like, who says that? Who says that to someone who's supposedly their best friend? And no, Eli and I weren't perfect. He worked a lot, wasn't super romantic, and wasn't great with words. But he was steady, loyal. The kind of guy who brings your favorite candy when you've had a bad day and sits through 2-hour phone calls with your mom just to be polite. I never thought he was flashy, but he was mine. And her comments made me start questioning everything. I started resenting her. Hard. And Zach too, with his smug little nods whenever she praised him in front of me. I mean, I get it. He's good looking in that clean gym guy way. Tall, polite, decent job, good with dogs. But the way Kayla put him on a pedestal made me want to vomit. No guy is that perfect. Especially not one who wears flip-flops with jeans. Then came the night that flipped everything. We were at a mutual friend's party. Kayla was off somewhere mingling, and I ended up on the back patio with Zach. We weren't even drunk, just tipsy enough for our words to loosen up. He started asking about my work, how things were going with Eli, and then, I swear, he said, you know, Kayla can be a lot. I bet it's exhausting being her best friend. It hit me like a slap. He wasn't her perfect little golden retriever after all. He had cracks. He saw what I saw. I didn't do anything that night. But that was when the idea was born. What if I proved it? What if I showed her that her perfect boyfriend was just like every other guy? At first I brushed the thought away. It felt crazy, even dangerous. But then she made another comment a few days later. Something about how not all men are capable of monogamy, but I just got lucky. And I snapped. I smiled at her, nodded, and decided right then I was going to ruin her little fantasy. I didn't even think about Eli, honestly. That's the worst part. I just compartmentalized him. Like he was a side character in someone else's story. We weren't in a bad place, not really. We still had our Friday night takeout routine, still texted memes during work breaks, still slept next to each other every night. But the truth is, I'd stopped feeling seen by him long before I crossed any lines. Over the next couple of weeks, I started texting Zach now and then. Just memes at first, then TikToks, then a photo of the sunset from my apartment, which he replied to with beautiful. Both the view and the girl. I knew exactly what I was doing, but I didn't feel guilty yet. I felt powerful, like I was pulling a thread on Kayla's illusion and watching it unravel. One night, I told Eli I was going out with coworkers and instead met up with Zach by chance at a brewery downtown. We sat too close. He touched my knee. I leaned in when I laughed. Nothing happened, but the tension was there, buzzing, and I let it grow. The next morning, Kayla sent me a photo of Zach making her pancakes. Caption, lucky me, I wanted to break her phone. So yeah, it wasn't just about proving something. It was personal. It was petty. I wanted her to feel small, the way she'd made me feel for months. I'd lie awake at night sometimes, staring at the ceiling while Eli snored next to me, and imagine what Kayla's face would look like if she knew. I wanted her to see the crack. I wanted her to see me, not just the friend who listened and clapped for her victories, but the girl who could take something she thought was untouchable. At this point, I still hadn't crossed any real line, but I knew I would. I knew it was coming, and I didn't stop it. After that night at the bar with Zach, everything felt different. Not like something huge had happened, but like a door had been left ajar. There was a current now, invisible but constant. Like the second you realize someone's looking at you not just as a friend, that weight in the air, the pause before a text, the extra second of eye contact. He didn't message me right away. 2 days passed, then I got a meme, nothing flirty, but it was a gateway. I responded, then a TikTok. Then I sent him a picture of a sunset out my window and wrote, "Needed this tonight." He replied, "Wish I was there with you right now." That message stayed in my head for days. I wish I could say I felt conflicted. I didn't. I felt alive. Meanwhile, Kayla was still running her Zach is perfect campaign. She wouldn't shut up about how attentive he was, how lucky she felt, how he was probably going to propose this year. She said it casually, like it was obvious, like the universe had just handed her the best man on earth and she'd earned him. What I started doing with Zach didn't feel like cheating. It felt like exposing something fake, like setting a record straight. It wasn't just texts. I found excuses to run into him. Dropped off coffee for both of them when I knew Kayla wasn't home. Invited him to a friend's game night she bailed on last minute. Made jokes that lingered in the air just long enough. Touched his arm when I laughed. He responded, always carefully. But he responded every time. I told Eli I had work drinks one night and met Zach at a brewery instead. We tat in a corner booth, ordered the same beer, talked about college, relationships, and how people change when they're comfortable. He mentioned how Kayla had become really intense about appearances lately. I asked if he felt like he could be fully honest with her. He said nothing for a while. Then, not always, he walked me to my car. I kissed him. He kissed me back. Then he pulled away, said, "I can't do this." I asked, "Do you want to stop?" He didn't answer. That night I went home and crawled into bed next to Eli, who was asleep already. I stared at the ceiling and felt my stomach twist, but not in guilt, more like anticipation. I waited. Zach didn't message the next day, or the day after. I started spiraling a little. What if he felt regret? What if I pushed too far? But then on the third night at 2:11 a.m. I got, "I can't stop thinking about you." From there, it took off. Secret meetups, coffee runs, walks that turned into long car rides. He'd find reasons to touch my hand. I wore perfume I knew Kayla hated, the kind she said gave her headaches. And Zach told me I smelled amazing. I let that comment soak into my bones. Eli didn't question me, not once. He trusted me. That should have made me feel worse. It didn't. Eventually, Zach came over. I pretended I needed help fixing a drawer. It wasn't even broken. I wore one of those oversized sweatshirts that hits just below the thigh, no pants, hair up, lip gloss. We didn't sleep together, not that night. But the build-up, the way he touched my hip when he passed behind me in the kitchen, it was just as electric. That's when I knew. This wasn't just to hurt Kayla. I wanted him. That scared me more than anything. A few days later, Kayla posted a photo of her and Zach on Instagram. Sunday cuddles with my forever 2 hearts. He didn't comment. Instead, he texted me, "I miss you." Eli started noticing around then. He didn't say much at first, just subtle questions. "Where were you last night? How come you didn't answer when I called?" I gave weak excuses. He accepted them, or maybe he didn't want to believe the alternative. Then came the night everything cracked. I got home late. Eli was sitting on the bed, my phone in his hand, unlocked, open to a text thread with Zach. It wasn't graphic, just enough. Zach saying, "When can I see you again?" Me replying with a heart emoji. Eli looked up and asked, "Is this real?" I didn't lie. I didn't cry. I said, "Yeah." He didn't scream. He didn't throw anything. He just stood up. Packed a few things, his hoodie, his phone charger, the cactus we bought together from that weird roadside market, and left. The silence that followed was worse than a fight. It echoed. I didn't run after him. I didn't say sorry. Because part of me still believed I was right, that Kayla needed to be brought down a notch, that Zach wasn't who she thought, that I wasn't the villain, just the messenger. The next weekend, Zach came over again, this time. We didn't stop. It was quick, messy. charged with weeks of build-up and secrecy. He held my face like he meant it, told me I was driving him insane, that he felt alive when he was with me. I believed him, at least for a little while. Kayla still doesn't know, not officially, but I think she feels it. She's quieter now, hesitates more when she talks about him. She once asked me, "Do you think Zach's been distant lately?" I shrugged. She sent me a selfie of them at brunch. Caption, "Still can't believe I found my person." He liked it, no comment. He did send me a photo that same day, of my sweatshirt on his floor, no words, just that. There's a moment after doing something really messed up when everything gets weirdly quiet, not peaceful, but eerie, like your body knows you crossed a line and it's waiting to see what happens next. After the first night I slept with Zach, that silence hit me hard. He fell asleep fast, like a dog after running in the heat, just knocked out, limbs all over, mouth open, snoring softly. I lay there staring at the ceiling, his arms still across my stomach, and I remember thinking, I should feel something worse than this. But I didn't. Not shame, not regret, not even anxiety, just stillness, and under that, something twisted, pride. I had done the thing Kayla believed was impossible. I had taken what she thought was untouchable. I was the crack in her perfect mirror, and I wasn't even sorry. Zach kissed my neck the next morning and told me he wished we had more time, said he'd been thinking about me nonstop, dreaming about me. I pretended not to eat that up. I brushed my teeth while he got dressed and left around 7. No fanfare, no lingering. He said, "Text me later," and I nodded. Then the door closed and he was gone. I got back in bed and opened Instagram. Kayla had posted a story at 9:41 p.m. the night before. Zach holding her hand at a movie theater. Horror night. Caption, "My man knows what I like, RedditHard. He was inside me by 10:15. I stared at the screen and started laughing. I laughed so hard I had to bury my face in a pillow to not scare the neighbors. It wasn't even funny. It was manic. I felt like I'd won a game no one else knew we were playing. That day, I couldn't resist. I replied to her story with, "Horror movies with Zach, bold choice." Tears of joy, she answered. Lol, why? I left her on read. Just enough to plant the seed. I saw Zach 3 more times that week. Once in my apartment, once in his car, once in a hotel near where he worked. The sex got rougher, needier. He called me addicting, told me Kayla was starting to notice something was off, said he didn't care. I didn't believe him. I told him that, "You're not going to leave her," I said once while putting my shirt back on. He got quiet. "You think I'm lying," I shrugged. "I think you're not ready to stop lying." He didn't argue, just pulled me in and kissed me like he was trying to make me forget what I'd said. Maybe he made himself forget too. Meanwhile, Kayla was changing. I could feel it. She was pulling me in closer in weird, inconsistent ways, texting more, asking me to hang out, checking in on how I was doing lately. The worst was when she'd say things like, "I've just been feeling off, like something's wrong, but I don't know what." And I'd be sitting there, phone in my hand, covered in her boyfriend 2 hours earlier. She told me she felt like Zach was pulling away, that he was less affectionate, more distracted. She said he canceled plans with her 3 nights in a row. I said maybe he was stressed. She nodded, but she didn't believe it. I could tell. One night she said to me, "You don't think he's cheating, right?" She sounded like she was joking, but her eyes didn't match her voice. I played dumb. "Zach, seriously, he's like obsessed with you." I hated myself in that moment. Not because I was lying, because she trusted the lie. Zach started saying things like, "Let's just do it. Let's tell her." I didn't think he was serious. I told him it wasn't the right time, that Kayla was going through a lot, that it would destroy her. That last part was true, but not the way I said it. He said he was sick of lying, that he wanted to be with me for real. And the worst part was, I didn't want that. I didn't want dinners with him. I didn't want brunches or Sunday walks or birthdays with his family. I wanted the version of him that only existed in the shadows. The one who whispered my name like a secret. I wanted the power of being the one he risked everything for, not the girlfriend he settled into. When Kayla invited me over for wine and trash TV, I almost said no. I didn't want to see her. Not because of guilt. I just didn't want to deal with the reminder of who I used to be when we did stuff like that. But I said yes, because a part of me wanted to see how close I could get to the fire without burning. She was already tipsy when I got there, rambling about work drama, laughing about something her boss said. She handed me a glass of wine and collapsed on the couch next to me like nothing had changed. And for a second it felt like college again. It hurt. Halfway through an episode of some dating show, she turned to me and said, "You've been weird lately. Are you mad at me?" It blindsided me. I laughed too fast. What? No, she shrugged. I don't know, you just seem colder, distant, you never used to cancel plans. I said she was imagining things, that I was just tired, but something in her face shifted. She didn't push, but she knew, not what, not yet. But she felt it. I could see it in her silence. 2 days later she called me crying. Zach had snapped at her, said she was smothering him, that she was insecure. She said he barely touched her anymore, that he looked at his phone when she talked, that she didn't feel like his girlfriend, more like a roommate. She said, maybe I'm too much. And I said, maybe you need to talk to him. She sniffled. You don't think I'm overreacting? I said. I don't know, Kay. Maybe it's not you. I wanted to say more. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry with her, to apologize, to tell her the truth just so it would finally stop crushing me. But I didn't. I let her spiral. I let her keep guessing. That night, Zach came over again. He looked wired, agitated, pacing. Said Kayla had tried to go through his phone, that she cried when he pulled away from her kiss, that she said, I know there's someone else, and he denied it. She's breaking down, he said. I can't keep doing this. Then he looked at me and said, tell her. I blinked. What? Tell her, he repeated. Let's stop hiding. I stared at him for a long time. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe for him to keep playing along, to keep things secret. Maybe I thought I would be the one to decide when it ended. I didn't answer. I just told him to go home. That night I didn't sleep. Not because I felt guilty, because for the first time I realized I didn't actually want him. I never did. I wanted to win. When Zach walked out that night after telling me to confess, something inside me flipped. Not like some moral reckoning. I didn't suddenly become a better person, but the game I thought I was controlling no longer felt like mine. I wasn't the one pulling the strings anymore. I was part of the mess, no, in the mess, and I couldn't tell where I ended and it began. The silence between us over the next day was deafening. He didn't text, I didn't either. For the first time in weeks, I didn't check my phone every 2 minutes. I didn't fix my hair just in case he dropped by. I didn't bother to get out of bed for hours. My apartment felt still, dead. His sweatshirt was on the back of my chair, the cologne still on my sheets. Kayla's pink scrunchie, the one she always left when she stayed over, was in my bathroom drawer. Everything felt like evidence. I thought about cleaning it all up, throwing everything out, but I didn't move. I just sat with it. That evening, Kayla called. Her voice was tight, measured, like someone holding their breath. Can you come over? She asked. That's all. No emotion, no clues, just that sentence. I didn't even hesitate. Sure, I said. When I got there, she was in the kitchen, steeping tea like we were just having another boring Thursday night. But her face was still, too still. I've seen her cry from spilled coffee before. Now she looked carved from stone. She didn't say hi. She slid her phone across the counter. Can you explain this? It was a screenshot, my text with Zach, not the nudes, not the graphic stuff. Just enough. Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about you. Wish I could wake up next to you. I stared at it. My whole body flushed hot, then cold, then hollow. I couldn't breathe. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Then I looked at her, and she was just watching me. I can explain, I said. The dumbest sentence in the world. She laughed, but not a real laugh, short, dead. Of course you can. I tried. I really did. I said it started with a dumb mistake. I said she made it worse with all the comparisons, how she constantly belittled Eli, how she acted like Zach was a trophy. I said I didn't mean for it to go that far. I said I didn't plan it. She let me talk for a while. I think she wanted to hear how I'd spin it. Maybe she needed to be sure I really was as selfish as I'd proven. You know the worst part? She asked. I nodded. What? I cried to you. Her voice cracked, just a little. I called you and said I felt like I was going crazy. And you just sat there, let me question myself. You let me think I was insecure. You looked me in the eye and lied. My throat closed. I tried to say I was sorry, that I really, truly was. But she shook her head. You're not sorry, you're sorry I found out. And she wasn't wrong. I didn't say anything else. I just picked up my keys and walked out. She didn't follow, didn't yell, didn't cry. I drove home in silence, no music, no calls. Just me and the road and the realization that I was no longer a secret. I was just a problem. At home, I sat on the floor for an hour. I couldn't cry, couldn't scream. I wasn't even angry. I felt like a balloon that had slowly deflated. Soft, wrinkled, empty. I opened my phone and scrolled through old photos. One of me and Kayla in matching Halloween costumes. One from our trip to Denver, where we shared a bed and stayed up all night talking. One of Eli smiling crookedly while trying to hold my dog and a pizza box. These people were real, once. But I'd burned it all down. Zach called that night. I let it ring. He texted once. She knows. I didn't answer. At 12:34 a.m. he knocked on my door. I should have ignored it, but I opened it. And there he was, messy, eyes red, shirt wrinkled. But what hit me the hardest was the look on his face, relief. I'm glad it's out, he said. We don't have to lie anymore. I just stared. You think this means we're together now? He blinked. Well, yeah. And right then I realized he still didn't get it. He thought this was romantic. He thought this was some twisted love story where the affair leads to forever. He thought he won. But there were no winners here. Just wreckage. I don't want this, I said. He looked stunned. You don't mean that. I do, I said. I don't want you. He stood there for a second too long, then turned and left without a word. The fallout was instant. One of our mutual friends blocked me on everything. 2 others unfollowed quietly. A girl from college DM'd me. I don't know how you sleep at night. Someone posted a TikTok rant about fake friends who smile in your face while effing your boyfriend. I wasn't tagged, but everyone knew. Eli never reached out. I didn't expect him to. I thought about writing, just to say I was sorry. But what could I say that would make anything better? My mom called and asked if I was okay. Said I sounded off. I told her I was tired. She offered to come visit. I said no, I didn't want her to see me like this. A hollow version of who she raised. For 5 days, I didn't leave the apartment. I ordered takeout and let it rot on the counter. I slept in the middle of the day and stayed awake all night. I watched shitty TV shows on mute just to avoid my own thoughts. Only Kayla said anything real. One text. You are the reason I don't trust anyone anymore. I read it, reread it, deleted the thread, not to erase her, but because I didn't want to look at it every day. The truth didn't need to be on my screen. It was already in me. Zach kept texting. Still no apology, just variations of, I miss you. Let's talk. We can make this work. I didn't respond. One night I went to a bar alone, sat in the corner and drank until the world felt slow. A guy smiled at me, asked if I wanted company. I said no, I didn't want to be wanted. I wanted to disappear, but I didn't cry. Not once. It's been 4 weeks since everything fell apart. 28 days. 672 hours. I know because I've counted them. Sometimes I catch myself doing it involuntarily. I'll be brushing my teeth and realize I've been counting seconds since I woke up. It's like some part of me is keeping score, tallying the damage. Zach stopped texting. Eventually, after the 10th unanswered message, he gave up. Or maybe Kayla got to him. Maybe someone else did. I don't know. I don't care. I deleted his number, blocked him on everything, but sometimes I still hear the buzz of a phantom notification and think it's him. It never is. Kayla hasn't spoken to me since the night she showed me the messages. Not a word. But I still see her, in tagged photos, in mutual stories, smiling, drinking wine with girls I used to call friends, posting captions like new era or leveling up. Her face is different now, harder, like someone who's been through fire and doesn't trust anything soft. I don't blame her. I wonder if she misses me, not the now me, not the liar, but the old version. The girl she once laughed with until 3 a.m., who knew all her coffee orders, who helped her pick out outfits before dates with Zach. The girl who didn't yet realize what she was capable of. I think I miss that version too. But she's gone. I tried going back to normal, work, errands, pretending. But everything feels wrong. People look at me differently now. I'm the girl who broke the unbreakable, who stabbed her best friend in the back and slept in the wreckage. I feel it in their silences, in the way conversations shift when I walk into a room. One coworker said, "You seem quieter lately." I smiled, said I'd been tired, but the truth is, I'm not quieter. I'm emptier. I don't talk to Eli. I think he's moved on. I hope he has. He deserved better than being collateral. I sometimes think about reaching out, but then I think about the look on his face when he read those texts, and I shut the thought down. I've had dreams, not of Zach, not of sex or betrayal, but of Kayla, of us sitting on a roof again, drinking cheap wine, laughing about the people we used to date. She says, I always thought we'd grow old together, not romantically, just side by side, and in the dream I nod, and then I wake up and it burns. Every time. I tried therapy once. I sat in a chair across from a woman with kind eyes and a notepad and said, I did something terrible. She nodded. Asked why. I said, because I could. Then I laughed. I didn't mean to, but I laughed. It sounded like metal scraping glass. She didn't flinch. She asked if I felt bad. I said yes. She asked if I'd do it again. I said I didn't know. She wrote something down and scheduled a follow-up. I never went back. Sometimes I think I should disappear, move cities, start fresh, change my name, but the truth is, I'd still be me. The same thoughts, the same memories. You can't outrun yourself. You just carry your shit in a different bag. One of our mutual friends, the only one who didn't fully cut me off, sent me a DM last week. It said, Kayla doesn't talk about it, but I think she's still hurt. I wanted to reply, so am I, but I didn't, because I don't get to be the one who says that, not anymore. Yesterday I saw Kayla in person. First time since everything. Total accident. I was walking out of a bookstore, and she was across the street, coming out of a cafe. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did and looked through me. Her hair was longer. She looked good, strong. She was laughing at something someone said. The sound made my chest ache. I stood there for maybe a full minute before walking away. I didn't wave, didn't say her name. I didn't have the right to intrude on her peace. That night, I wrote a message I'll never send. It said, I miss you. Not because you forgave me, you shouldn't. Not because I want anything from you. Just because losing you was like tearing out a part of myself I didn't know I needed to live. Then I deleted it. Because I know what she would have said. You don't miss me. You miss who you were when I loved you. And she'd be right. Sometimes people say that betrayal reveals who you are. That in your worst moments, the real you steps forward. If that's true, I don't like who I met. I thought I was calculated, in control. But I was just desperate, insecure, angry. I used Zach to feel powerful. I used Kayla's trust as leverage. I destroyed something beautiful just to prove I could. I wasn't the victim. I wasn't the hero. I was just the fire. I still don't know why I'm telling this here. Maybe because I can't tell anyone else. Maybe because strangers won't look at me the same way my old friends would. Maybe because I want anyone, to say, yeah, you fucked up. But at least you know it. Or maybe I just want to be seen, not forgiven, just seen. AITA, I don't need the answer anymore, but I asked. So maybe that's something.